Hey there, welcome back to the Missouri Sports Network, MissouriSportsNetwork.com, where everyone has a home field advantage. Presented by Liuna Labor's Local 663, also presented by Great Southern Bank, Doak Propane, Chevy Dealers of the Ozarks, and the Bank of Billings. We go to Lamar High School now, home of the Tigers, and head football coach Jared Beshore. Coach Beshore, thanks so much for your time today.
Absolutely. Thanks, Guy, for having me on.
Entering your fourth year, but what a run. 10 out of the last 12 years, Lamar's played in the state championship game. You've probably been a part of 7 of those as a player and as a coach. And again, you went 3 consecutive championship games, 12-2 a year ago. Tell us a little bit about last year's team and who are some of those guys that have moved on due to graduation that you're going to have to fill their shoes.
Yeah, last year's team was another special group. Like you said, we've been very blessed and fortunate to have kids buy into our program and continue on the success that's been kind of set here at Lamar. Been set by Coach Bailey, who was my former coach and who obviously has had a historic run here. Last year's team, we had a lot of kids that have played a lot of snaps for us in that senior class. Austin Wilkerson, Joel Beshore, some guys like that have been 3-4 year starters, and but then we also had some guys that stepped up and kind of waited their turn as seniors and got an opportunity to play ball for us. Maybe they weren't multiple year starters, but we hold a lot of pride in those kids that kind of work while they wait, and when they do get their opportunity as a junior and senior, then they capitalize on that. And that's really hard for kids nowadays to do. If a kid's not playing, a kid's gonna quit or move on. And that happens at a lot of places. Luckily here at Lamar, we have not had that happen on a regular basis. And we've kind of reaped the benefits from that. But we started out, had some adversity early in the year. We kind of were learning some things about our kids. Early on, had a lot of new faces on the offensive and defensive line, which is always has a learning curve. And then took a loss early to a really, really talented Seneca team and well coached Seneca team, and that kind of turned our heads a little bit, kind of woke us up, kind of got us focused in the right areas, and then went on to have a really good run, all the way to the state title game. I would say that that playoff run that we had last year was one of the most dominating I've been a part of. We really played well all the way through to the state title game. Of course, the state title game was a great game between 2 great programs, and we just came out on the wrong end of it. But very proud of what that senior class was able to accomplish. We're going to miss a lot of those guys like Ryan Davis, who was a 3-year starter for us, 2-time All-State offensive lineman. Joel Beshore and Austin Wilkerson, I named. They were kind of the big names in that class. Cameron Sturgill, who was a kid that started for us 2 years at linebacker, was a first-team All-State kid. He's playing football at Missouri S&T now in Rolla. Joel and Austin are over at SBU. And we graduated a lot of guys, like I said, that waited their turn, that were just great program guys and did some great things. But our kids are looking right now to fill in those shoes. We had a great summer thus far, and I'm excited to see where we go.
Talking about that summer, obviously you've got the limited number of contact days with regards to football-specific activities. What did the Tigers do? How did you spend your summer?
Well, we kind of like how we've had our schedule or our summer scheduled for the past so many years. We always in June is dedicated pretty much solely to the weight room. There's a lot of programs that do contact days in June. We do just a few. We do about 3 or 4, and those are typically on Mondays. Those are typically just install days that, we're not in pads really, or we're not in helmets. We're just out there trying to teach our kids our schemes and how to line up, what their stance is, and just some base fundamentals so that we can go on to our 7-on-7 camp at Webb City and kind of know what we're doing a little bit. We're not a team that throws the ball a ton, but we definitely want to know how to get aligned and be able to defend other teams' offenses. And so that's typically how we spend June. So a lot of weight room, 4 days a week in the weight room, and then about 1 day a week where we're on the field doing some things. And then in July is our big football contact month. We'll do 3 straight weeks of contact. This year I gave them the week of the 4th of July off. In years past, we've given the last week in July off. Just kind of depends on where that 4th of July lies. But we want to get 3 good weeks, 15 days total of contact days in July to get us ready. And that's kind of the dog days. That's the old school guys will say those are 2-a-days. We're not 2-a-days. It's one big practice in the evening in the heat, but we think that builds toughness, and our kids kind of buy into it. They set up camp underneath the bleachers. They bring their lawn chairs. They bring popsicles, and it's kind of a cool little deal that they take pride in, being out there from 4 o'clock in the afternoon till 9 or 10 o'clock at night. So it's a cool deal. I think summer is where our program really excels. Of course, I feel like we do a great job in the winter and spring as well, but we had a great summer attendance-wise with our kids. Kids were bought in, especially our young guys, which is something that typically we have to teach. It's a learning curve with them as well. But young kids have bought in and showed up and did everything that they were supposed to do, being accountable, and very, very happy with how this summer went.
Again, visiting with Lamar Tigers head football coach Jared Beshore, and a couple rumors out there. One, you may not only have an addition to your family, but you've also had an addition to your coaching staff that folks might be interested in knowing.
Yeah, so we did hire Coach Scott Bailey back on staff, which I'm extremely excited about. Anytime you can add a great assistant coach to your staff, you're excited. When you can add not only a guy that you look up to and have a lot of respect and admiration for as a coach, as a head coach, but also as a person. And then also a guy that's won 7 straight state titles on his resume. That's a pretty good guy to add to your staff. A lot of knowledge and expertise comes with that. So Coach Bailey's going to run our weight room for us during the school day. And then also he's going to be our special teams coordinator and D-line coach, which is, he's been coaching D-line at Webb City the past couple of years for Coach Roderick. And the wealth of knowledge he brings and experience he brings is great for not only our kids, not only our coaches, but everyone involved, especially me. I try to be a sponge around him, and our other coaches are excited to have him back too. It's been a really good fit. Sometimes when you think about bringing an old school guy back, we can wonder how the kids will respond. None of these kids that we have on the team this year were actually played for him. Last year's senior class was his last freshman group about 3 or 4 years ago. So he's got a brand new clean slate with all these kids, and he's made a great impression on them. I think the kids love him. He gets after them, obviously, but they respect him and have done a really good job of taking coaching from him too. So. It's been cool. It's been fun to watch, and I'm excited about that part.
As you look just across the Big 8 conference, East and West of the Big 8 conference, obviously you guys have had so much success in that over the past decade plus. Who are some of the teams coming in based on what that they've got coming back? Because the Big 8 conference really has done a tremendous job of preparing you for state runs. Tough conference, and I compare it a little bit to the COC with the Webb Cities and Joplins. But, you guys have opened up with Marshall the last, 2 or 3 years. But Logan Rogersville seems to be getting better every year. Seneca is always good. McDonald County, kind of talk about kind of handicap those teams and what you know about them.
Well, you're spot on with our conference. The Big 8 conference, I think, is one of the biggest reasons why Lamar has been so successful. Back in the day, when our success first started, and Coach Bailey had just got here, and he's pushing the program, trying to get it to where he wants it to be, and he always talked about the Big 8 conference preparing him for those Class 2 playoffs. They they'd win only maybe 1 or 2 ball games in the Big 8, but get to Class 2 play, it's a completely different feel because they've already played these bigger, tougher, more physical teams, and then you got to go to Class 2, and it really, prepares you for that. And so then Class 2 seems a little bit easier compared to a Class 3 and Class 4 Big 8 team. So that has kind of been a source of pride for our kids and program. I mean, obviously we've had a lot of success in conference as of late, but it wasn't always like that. And so, we try to remind our kids that and let them know that, these are going to be tough games. These may be some of our toughest games of the year. This may be a tougher game than the state title game. But it's going to prepare us, and we're going to be the team that we need to be by the end of the year because of it. So, we play some really good teams this year. The West is always loaded. I think the West side is extremely talented. You got some great programs in Cassville and Seneca and Monette, historic, traditionally rich programs. And then you have some teams that have kind of, as of late, really locked in and had a lot of success. The Nevadas, the Mack counties, those are programs that may not have as much traditional success as a Cassville or a Seneca, but as of late, they've been really good. And, those you just have to tip your hat to the head coaches in our program or in our conference and their staffs, because they've done a fantastic job. Seneca and Cassville and all the teams I just named are going to be solid, and they're going to be really good and really well coached, and we're going to have to play our best football game to beat them. So as far as the east side goes, we're matched up with Marshfield and Logan Rogersville and Hollister, teams that have had some success in the past couple of years as well. Like you said, Logan Rogersville, they're a team that really gave us a good game last year, and I didn't think we played very well, but they were really well coached and probably more prepared for that game than we were. And they played extremely physical, and they have some really, really good looking kids on their roster. So I expect them to take a step forward this year and be a contender on the East and be a really tough matchup for us. And then, obviously Marshfield and Hollister, I believe they lost some guys on their roster, but those coaches are really, really good, and they got some great experience and have had success. And so I trust that those guys are going to be ready to play and be really competitive as well. So no easy slouches on Lamar's schedule this year. But we kind of prefer it that way.
What are you looking forward to most forward to about opening week?
Just seeing our kids compete. Say that again. I didn't hear that.
Practice. I'm sorry. Opening week of practice.
Oh, opening week of practice. I got you. No, every year, that first week of practice is they're coming off the week off, the dead week. They've got to get adjusted to the heat. We kind of push our practices more towards traditional practice time at that point to get in the heat a little bit, make sure we're acclimated. Misha has a 3-hour rule during that time, so we kind of have to speed things up. We don't have all day like we do in the summer. So it's an adjustment for our kids. And so I'd say the biggest thing that, we look forward to as a coaching staff is to see how adaptable our kids are. Are they flexible? Can they be elastic in whatever's thrown at them, And so we'll speed things up a little bit. We'll have to get adjusted to the heat and, just kind of, I look forward to the game prep. That's when we really start to get into other teams. Summer's more fundamental. It's more base. And then, once we get into August, now we're preparing for the Jamboree. We're preparing for week 1 and week 2, trying to make sure our kids understand the teams we're about to play. And I think that's a piece that our staff really enjoys and our kids enjoy.
And before I let you go, where is your Jamboree and who's involved?
So we go down south. This year it'll be at Joplin, but it's with the same 4 teams that it's been. It's us, Joplin, Webb City, and Seneca. So really a really high quality Jamboree, in my opinion. We get to lock horns with Webb and Joplin, and then we don't play Seneca. Obviously, we're in conference, and Webb and Joplin are the same deal. So you'll get two Jamboree sessions with the teams that are not, on your schedule, and You talk about some high quality reps, man. That's great for our kids. It's kind of like how our conference is to Class 2. The jamboree is almost like that with our conference. We were playing some really high level teams. You know, 2 top dogs in the COC conference. We know that if we can lock horns with them and hold our own, then we're going to be in good shape. So that's what we try to preach to our kids on that day. Let's get in, lock horns with some bigger, stronger athletes that we don't typically get to see, and see what we got. So that's always a fun day for us. The biggest thing is we want to come out healthy. We want to make sure our kids are confident coming out of there, not beat down or too high on their laurels. You know, there's been a couple of years where we've had some success up there, and kids think, oh, well, we have a little bit of success against Webb City. Well, we're golden. Well, that's not the case. And I think last year's a really good example of that. We went in and we did some good things in the jamboree, and then we kind of slipped a little bit first 3 or 4 weeks of the season. So you got to find that happy medium and be able to make sure our kids understand what that optimal level of intensity and mental state is.
Outstanding. Well, Coach, best of luck, not only to you and your family as you await the birth of a child,
Yeah.
But also head into the football season. We look forward to visiting with you throughout the season. But thanks so much for being generous with your time today.
Yep, absolutely. Thanks for having me on.
You bet. You're watching the Missouri Sports Network at MissouriSportsNetwork.com, where everyone has a home field advantage. And as always, the Missouri State Highway Patrol reminds us to take that 3 seconds and buckle up. It's 3 seconds that could save your life. Be safe, be smart, and be here tomorrow.